How's everybody today?
Doing good. Almost a new month coming up.
Almost a new month. It's crazy, crazy, and we're not fooling. That's a play on jokes. See, that's cool. I'm
Yeah,
proud of that. Got my green juice today, Johnny.
love it.
Green juice, coffee, water. Already took my pills. That's how it works. Every day in the hood. I was watching. What was the show with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell? Get Hard the other day.
Yeah.
It just cracking me up thinking about the hood. You know, when you go back in time, you go like, I knew all these characters growing up in high school. You know, everybody from the crazy racist to the hood, the gangs,
hmm
and always somebody pretending something they're not.
Yeah.
you know,
For real.
oh, it's boys in the hood. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It is the 27th of March. We're about to go into April. This coming weekend is the launch of the Final Four here in Houston.
Mhm.
We just went through about 6 weeks of rodeo. This is the crazy part. Y'all got to understand this if y'all watching this on TV. We went through about 6 weeks of rodeo where they put this dirt on the floor of the stadium. The night it closes, and they close early on last Sunday, they start hauling all the dirt away and setting up for March Madness, the Final Four that's going to be played out here in Houston this weekend. So when y'all are in, when you got like they're changing air filters, they're clean. I mean, it is an amazing transformation that happens every year from the rodeo to whatever's next, and it's impressive. And a lot of people volunteer for that thing every year, and it's just incredible. We did not make it to the rodeo this year. Haven't since the pandemic. We might try next year, Michelle. We might try next year, but we kind of been keeping Michelle
But the cool thing is,
in the bubble.
but Mike, what you just said, the cool thing is that everybody on his team can make a transformation like that. If we put it in our mind to make a transformation and make a change, we can make changes like that overnight in our business.
That's girl's good. You just got to get the dirt off the floor. All right, I'm gonna say it. I know it's early, but in that dirt, y'all know they had some bullshit, and you had to get rid of the bullshit too. I'm just saying.
The rodeo is fun.
It's rodeo
time.
But
it's a lot of people, y'all. It's a lot of people in Houston. It's big.
Mm-hmm.
So be ready to walk and be ready to have a lot of allergies.
Oh yeah. I think that's probably the biggest part, right? Like transformation is in being ready, right? Just like being ready for the next whatever, Look, we're all older. We don't have any of the truly young folks on here. Sorry, Megan. You're there, right? So you got to prepare for it and then take action and then be. This is a crazy thing. It's just like be in that transform person from that day moving forward. And look, I know we all have days where we're like, this is who I am. This is what I am, whatever. I get it. We all have those days where we need to have like a me moment, and take it. But then recognize, all right, well, it's Monday. We got to get up and get going again. That's what we're here for. So let's get rolling. So Johnny, you got some good stuff for us this morning?
Yeah. I was going to talk about kind of your mindset behind like building your book of business here. Like Michelle kind of took it. I mean, didn't take it, but what she said.
Full service. Transform from a basic agent to a full service agent.
Yeah. Yeah. From what she said about like making a decision to change really doesn't mean like you're drastically changing. You're just making decisions that lead to a different outcome. Like you're not changing your entire person or acting like somebody else. You're just making decisions that you hadn't made before.
Yeah, it's not like Clark Kent in the phone booth, right? You're not going to
Yeah,
go into the phone booth and come out a completely changed person. It's a lot more
right,
subtler than that.
right, right. It's just decisions. And, we're in a business where those, I think, any business you're in, but I think this one in particular, the reward for the effort you put in is very high, right? Because it's something that it's your client. It's not like you're working for somebody and it's eventually theirs, right? Like you're building your book of business that you can service your entire life, that could continue to you can continue to serve them and it continues to serve you. So yeah, that's was what was on my mind pretty much all week that I just wanted to share on. And uh, basically being a full service agent, like what does that mean in general, right? Some people are like, well, it just means be full service. Well, it means a lot of stuff. It just means like we're not 100% focused on just doing one product or one thing. Okay, which we need to be focused on whoever we're meeting with. Address, like if we're working leads, address what that person asked for. Okay, so I'll tell you a story that may help with that. And maybe you feel like I'm just a broken record, but I feel like we need to repeat stuff a lot of times. I need it, right? Because life is simple. We make it complicated, but at the end of the day, it is simple. So what do I mean by addressing the initial thing someone asked for? So I had an appointment from a lead 2 weeks ago, and all he was asking for was, I want to look into some type of permanent coverage, like whole life. That was his kind of main concern, right? Now, if I was like younger in the business, I would have been like, oh, bro, let me tell you about these IULs, man. Like I would have done that. But knowing that all he's asking for is some type of permanent insurance, I said, let me just address where he's at. So he already had a term policy. I got to know him, built rapport, asked questions, and just wrote him basically an IUL which is a Mutual Omaha product. It's basically a permanent plan for healthy people, IULE Express. And anyway, so you'd have permanent coverage. He's probably going to keep the term and let it go once it's got like 10 years left on it, right? So I just showed the value of keeping it too, because he has kids and a wife. And I'm like, look, you got a good rate 20 years ago. You might as well keep it. So I just addressed that initial thing with him. And then I said, hey, look, you mentioned you had kids. He has 4 kids. You mentioned you're married. And all these other things you mentioned. I think there's some other things we can help you with. I would like to just show them to you. One's like, are you available next week at the same time? Right. And I said, your policy should get there by that point. So what I'm going to do is just review your policy and then go over this other stuff. Right. And anyways, he had his policy. I reviewed it. And then I mentioned his kids, and we wrote 4 IULs on him, his kids. Now he wants to do 1,000 a month on him and his wife, because it makes sense. They're already putting like over 7% what they're being matched in their 401k account, which is not being matched. So they want to move it somewhere else. And he wants to do something with his old 401k, right? So but if I would have tried to talk to him about all that at one time, it wouldn't have happened. And if I wouldn't have asked questions about like his family and I didn't like bring anything up, I just got to know like his situation, his income, how he feels about certain things, and then just helped him with the simple insurance, which he is going to need in 20 or 30 years, right? That he's not going to have to pay outrageous money for. So that's kind of a story for you being full service, right? And And it may sound complicated, but it was super simple. It was, I helped you with this. I even like had to look at the underwriting grid myself or reach out to somebody on Slack just to make sure, right? Like write it up and then say, hey, look, I'm going to install your policy. I think that's a good habit. If you take one thing from this morning is like create a habit of installing policies for people, because you're able, when you do that, it doesn't fire hose the person with information in the beginning, right? And then when you install it, you can just bring up, hey, you mentioned you had kids, right? And they're in a position where they can digest it because you already helped them and explained what they got and they don't have questions. Does that make sense? So that's one thing. If you're taking notes, like make a habit of installing policies, because that's going to lead you to becoming full service. And sometimes that's, it takes patience. Like you got to book it out a week or two, right? You can't just go. I mean, like I said, when I was starting, I would have been like, I'm just going to go after it right now on this one call. But it typically just doesn't work out because it's too much. It's just too much information for the client to understand, So that's kind of an example, but we have, with the IULs and stuff, you don't have to be like, I could have started way earlier in my business doing that stuff, because we have so many people that have written a ton of it and understand it that you can just literally ask, right? I mean, you have sales desk that can run illustrations. You don't really have to know all the ins and outs of it or have done it a ton. You just have to know that it's available to help those clients. So that was the first thing I wanted to mention, but I saw you on mute, Michelle. I don't know if you wanted to say something, but
I just, I love the story. And it does make total sense. We try to, as a new agent, sometimes, try to get ahead of ourselves. And I think that, just making that point is genius. And, I got to see, one of my clients is for the first time. I haven't really been out in the field selling, right? I've been doing it on the phone. And I was telling them this weekend, I was seeing someone Saturday that was just living in my neighborhood. It was just a friend that referred me. And, it was so nice to see people face to face, but, we took care of the immediate need. But then after we did that, just exactly what Jonathan said happened. I just handed them my card. I talked to them a little bit about their grandchildren, their children, and they said to me, well, we want to get, plans on our grandchildren and our children. Let's plan to meet back up again. And I always like to say this, I've taken way too much of your time today. I'm going to get out of here. It's a Saturday evening. It's 5:30 Saturday evening. I know you have things to do. So I always use that as an excuse to get on out, because you don't want to be there too long. And I forget about that, because when I was in the home, you got to pace yourself, or you could be there for 2 hours, but you're getting to know people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of doing what you need to do, get out of there so you can go back another time. And they don't feel like you've just hammered them for 2 hours, in one sitting.
right.
So,
Yeah. And I was thinking about all the appointments that I didn't do that in, and I was just like, man, I need to talk about this. You know what I mean? Because like it's not like we're just some special people up here. We just ran a bunch of appointments, and you know what I mean, and figured out, okay, I did that a bunch of times and thought it was going to work, but it didn't. So I probably should change that.
And now, especially because Joe is doing these Tuesday calls, and by the way, if y'all don't know about them, they're every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific. Is that like 5 o'clock our time, 5 to 6?
Yeah, 5 to 6 on Tuesdays. It's a really good call. I've been on both times. It's good to hear from if you can ever hear from somebody else, it's just always a good thing. Even though it's similar information you may have heard, it's said differently because they're a different individual. So,
and it might seem like they're nerding you out or they're talking above your head, but the more you get on, the more you'll learn. But I don't want to take away from the fact that just listening to it is good, but you don't have to know it. Like what Jonathan said, if you just know how to set an appointment with Chris Norris and set an appointment with Gina Hawks, you're good to go. That's your golden thing, is knowing how to do that and saying, I have a wealth partner who helps me, and we just need to get on the phone with him and go over and see if there's anything that you would qualify for with us.
And I was just thinking about this, y'all, because we went and see my grandbaby there yesterday, and you know, she's not even 4 months, right? Just barely there, and you know, she's just starting to imitate now. Like you make sounds, you make faces, she's just trying to imitate it. I'm gonna tell y'all, even on these calls where you're like, I don't understand a single word they're saying, but if I can just figure out how to do their laugh, their sound of their voice, their tone, there's a lot of other stuff besides just the technical things you pick up on these calls. And look, I'm going to tell you, everybody who's doing these calls, from the daily morning call to Joe's special seminars, look, these are experienced people. And you know, there's so many things. They don't even know how to teach you half the things that they're doing. I'm going to tell you that right now, right? Because it's just the observation. So I'm just saying, get in touch with the inner 3-month-old, you know, and start trying to figure stuff out. Get excited about if you make a little thing move, you know, like, I didn't even know I did that. Did I do that? I'm not even sure. Because here's the thing, you know, Jack Canfield, you gotta make statements that are in the future as if they are today. You're talking to these clients, you're talking to these potential clients, you're talking to that future person that 2 years, 3 years, 6 years down the road, even if you disappeared from the insurance business for a little while, right? Come back and you recognize that time, once you make the right impressions, time doesn't really change that impression much. They still know who you are. You know, life goes by like this. Let me tell you that right now. And you just, you know, you're planting seeds for the future. And like Jonathan said, you don't have to give them the advanced stuff right out of the gate, you know, but you have to plant the seeds that you're going to be there for them. When it's the right time for that stuff, you're the person they're going to call. I just a lot of things that hit me this morning with that, you know, just when you got a brand new baby, they say you want to know truth, just look into a baby's eyes, right? And just understand that it's okay to not understand a single word that's coming out of anybody's mouth. It's as if sometimes you're watching a foreign movie in a language you never know. You're never going to know, like Chinese, right? I'm never going to know Chinese. I don't want to know, right? But you can learn a lot from expressions, movements, you know, all these things that also play tone, all these things play into developing a relationship. At least get that, and eventually you'll get the technical stuff.
Hey, Mike, you know, I was in the car yesterday. I was running a few errands, and a long time ago, one of my mentors gave me some lectures that are on Napoleon Hill in his own voice. And I listened to them over and over again. And I used to listen to them more when I was in the car. But any of you guys that want me to send that to you, I can put it on our Slack channel. But it's, you know, one of the things he talks about is going the extra mile, but it's really just about success in general. And I think it's great for anybody who wants to be successful to listen to it, and to listen to it more than one time, especially if you're in the car and, you know, it's your rolling university and you do have to make drives every day. I would be happy to send that to y'all. And it's in his own voice. So it's kind of really cool. So I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard it. Have any of y'all had that? Napoleon Hill in his own voice?
Put it on the team chat. I've never heard of it.
Okay. Diane Lampy gave it to me a long time ago, and I've used it so much. It's
It's
really good.
crazy because, you know,
It's a great reminder. What's that?
I just think it's funny how, you know, how we talk today versus how they used to talk, like, you know, back in his day, you know, just the inflections and everything. But it is really cool to hear it in his own voice, because if you know his story, how he went out and interviewed people with to get the best knowledge, and wasn't getting paid for it. He did it for the knowledge to transform, and it came around. Anyway, there's some great stuff in there. Yeah, definitely put it out there. I think everybody needs to, you know, I think we need that kind of inspiration, you know, from other voices. Who's saying what? Who we're talking to?
Yeah, and you know, you don't need to like change who you are. Like you need to be yourself. But there's so many things you can adjust about your work and like what you're saying, that you're still yourself. You're not changing who you are, but you're getting better. Like one thing that encouraged me about this business is not, and this may be the first time you've heard it, but this business isn't like you have to be some high talented special person to do very well. Like you can just take specific actions that others have taken and you can literally accomplish what they have or more. Like period. Like there's some businesses, like if you're going to be a heart surgeon, well, you can't just take a few specific actions and become a heart surgeon. Like it's a 10-year process before you can actually even start your residency, which is like 2 years, and then you can start practicing. And then, you know what I mean? Like there is practices.
But the cool thing is with us, you can sell all these final expense and mortgage and term products right away and make such excellent money. Right, Jonathan?
Yeah. I'm just saying it as like it's a fact that like there's just certain decisions you make that increase your income and make you better at the business. It's not like some special thing or some special talent you have to have. It's literally just small decisions of taking action, right? And one of those is being on the calls because you pick up things. Another one is, you know, you're on the call for a reason, so you have a reason that you're doing the business, right? So I think it's important to remember why you're doing it too. And then think about like people underestimate, they overestimate what they can get done in a year. So in 12 months, most people just way overestimate what they can do. But in 3 years, they heavily underestimate what they can do in 3 or in 5. So remember that as you're going through, you know, week to week working, like you're building something that's going to think about it servicing you and paying you in 3 to 5 years. Like think about that. Don't, you know, and I mean, still work today, but remember that you're doing something that's you're building a book that you can service. And this industry it's huge. Like it has so many different products that help people on a daily basis. Like I was listening to a podcast from a guy who worked in Wall Street for 20 years. And now all he's doing is working on helping people fit into indices, with the products that we sell. Right. Like, you know, so there's a ton of opportunity. Like I said, just do the small stuff. And that one thing is install the policies, book follow-up appointments, and then involve other people to help you. And you're going to learn a lot. I mean, that's really my message is that, I mean, we could do more training on how to do it, but when you do it a few times, you're going to pick stuff up. So keep it simple, you know, help them with the final expense. But if they have kids or, you know, a change in job, well, that's a note to mention later, right? Because there could be something there.
Hey, Brandy, I see your hand up.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, girl. Brandy is from Tennessee.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I had a question for Jonathan. You said earlier that you came across the guy you helped with the insurance. He had a 401k and they were funding it every month. And so now they're taking that and putting it toward the IUL. Can anyone do that at the current, while they're working at the current job and at any age?
Yes. So he has two 401ks. One's a previous employer, one's current.
Okay.
And he's currently putting 10%. He used to put 20 on the old employer one, but they're only matching him 3%. So he's putting in 7% more than is being matched. So you just compare, like the S&P 500 past 30 years did 7.3%. And you compare that with an IUL. IUL typically always beats it because it's tax free, meaning you're not going to pay taxes on your income later. But the main thing is just ask those questions when you're in the appointment, like, hey, I just need to get an idea of your your financial picture so I can find the best option, and just make notes of that stuff and then bring it up on the appointment when you install the policy. But yes, anybody can reallocate they're just putting money in the account. Just ask them like, hey, are you being matched?
Okay.
What's that number? He was like 3%. I was like, are you putting more than that? He was like, yeah, I'm doing 10% of my check.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So that means 7%.
So just to reaffirm, he's not rolling the new 401k over. He's just reallocating what they're currently paying.
Matching. Yeah, because they were overfunding it. So you let the company do their 3%, but the extra 10% put it toward something better, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we may not run the old account either, right? We're going to see if that'll be best for him. But yeah, you can always.
The old 401 can't go into an IUL.
No.
The old 401 could go into an annuity.
Right.
I think
Yeah. But
it doesn't matter if they're okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Before we go, I do want to shout out Sonia. I do want to do a shout out to Sonia. Sonia made her first sale over the weekend with a lead in New York. She's over there in Buffalo, New York, where it's still snowing. Well, it's maybe not still snowing, but it's still cold. We're over here at 80 degrees. She may not be able to talk, but if you can say hi, Sonia, would love to hear from you this morning.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Tell us.
Yes.
Tell us how you made that sale real quick. I know we got a minute to spare, but I wanted to leave a little time.
Okay, sure. I made that sale. I had put up a post on Facebook, and it was someone I know her niece. So her niece had contacted me and just was explaining that her aunt didn't have any insurance and she had a few questions, and we booked an appointment and did the application.
Fantastic. So, we want to help you be that full service agent. We want to help you get those referrals, those emergency lists. So maybe next week, and before that, we can talk about it. But if the policy isn't issued by then, there's a couple of little tricks that we learned. Brandy actually told me about the virtual card. I'm pulling up my virtual card because before on the virtual card, it didn't have all this information where they could see it. And I thought they could. So I'm going to send y'all all my virtual card again. And where it says company, you can copy all that information onto yours. And then when you send it to someone else, it will show up all the stuff that you do. And I think it's just putting it in front of people more, what you do. Oh, you do 401k rollovers. Oh, you do tax-free retirement. I want to hear more about that, So that was huge. But Sonia, congratulations again. See, everything works. So now you can take that and get her emergency list, and you can call those people, and I'll show you how to do that this week and possibly get more sales. It is the customer service call. Jonathan, thank you for all your insight this morning.
Yeah, for sure. It's a new day and a new week. So I'm excited. Let us know if we can help you. A daily call every day, 9 o'clock.
See y'all in an hour. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Bella. Bye, Bella. It's Papa. She gonna smile. She was.